A minute, an hour, a month. Death is certain. The time is not.
The Faceless Men of Bravos, a guild of assassins known to Westeros, consider themselves servants of the many-faced god. Faceless men are trained to relinquish their former identities and become no one, allowing them to actually become anyone in service of the god of death. Amongst them is Jaqen H'ghar, a prisoner from King's Landing recruited to take the Black. While being led to the wall by Yoren, the party is attacked by the Lannisters and the Goldcloaks. With help from Arya Stark, Jaqen manages to escape and slowly begins to repay the many-faced god for the deaths that Arya had stolen. After he helps her escape Harrenhal, he eventually teaches her to become a faceless man. Who is Jaqen H'ghar? Is it someone we have seen before? Jaqen H'ghar is no one. And welcome back to Lycan Studios. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. So yes, I finished that intro last night and ended up taking a P day from work just to get some stuff done. And yeah, I'm going to be trying to get this video out today, so we're going to see how it goes. But anyways, welcome to the Fate of Jaqen H'ghar. I think this is going to be a pretty interesting video. Of course, the first part we got to go through his backstory, his history and stuff. So yeah, just click the timestamps in the description and that'll help you navigate if you want to skip the history and stuff. So anyways, before we get into the video, I had to look down at my notebook. We have the channel shout out. We got Richard Hugh, or Richard. We got my man Richard. So everybody say, Richard, you are the man. Shout out to him. He's been here such a long time. He's been a Patreon supporter for a while. And yeah, I just wanted to say I really appreciate it, bro. So anyways, make sure to smash that thumbs up button if you do enjoy the video. If you like that intro, we're going to shoot for 128. 128. I think you guys can do it. But anyways, let's talk about the Faceless Men and Jaqen H'ghar. I completely forgot to say this. There's two things that I want to clear up real quick. First of all, we are just basing this on the show. I'm not going to get into the books with the Faceless Men just because it gets super crazy, so I've heard. And number two is, yes, I do think Jaqen H'ghar was Syrio Forel. So yeah, I just want to throw that out there because I know a lot of people, they love that theory, and I think it's fantastic. So anyways, yes, the backstory and history of Jaqen H'ghar. All right, so you guys know we don't really know too much about Jaqen H'ghar. Technically, his name isn't even Jaqen H'ghar. That's just an identity he used, and that's how he was presented to Arya and us, the audience. So we're just going with Jaqen H'ghar. So I know you guys don't have to say anything about that. We got it covered. But anyways, before season 1, or before he really shows up, we don't have much on him. Basically, that he was just posing as a criminal from the Free Cities, and he was arrested by the City Watch and thrown in the dungeons underneath the Red Keep. So Yoren from the Night's Watch was given permission by Ned, who was the Hand of the King at the time, to basically go through all the dungeons and stuff and take all the criminals and stuff to the wall so they could take the Black, they could become the Night's Watch. They could look over the realms of men. Well, obviously he ended up finding Jaqen H'ghar in the cells. He found Biter and he found Roarg. So those three characters were kind of pieced together as the most dangerous. So he kind of kept them separate from the other party, which you guys know was Lamy, Hot Pie, Gendry. He ended up taking Arya at the time because Ned was killed. And yeah, they began their march to the wall. But the main thing about season 1 that I find most interesting is as soon as Syrio kind of disappeared, I don't know if it was like an episode later or a couple episodes later, Jaqen appeared. So yeah, keep that in mind. As soon as Syrio looks like he's going to be arrested or killed, he disappears or whatever, and it's never been confirmed that he was officially killed, Jaqen kind of appears. So it's different. But anyways, yeah, the main thing for season 1 is just that he's considered dangerous, but he is taken by Yoren to, well, to begin the journey to the wall. So then in season 2, we actually have where Jaqen meets Arya. He's in the cage and he's calling Arya because obviously Arya is going by a boy's name, and he asks her to fill a tankard with something to drink. He says that he's not drunk for a day and a night and refers to himself as a man and as her a boy. So yeah, this is kind of where you get that dialogue going that he is no one. He's a faceless man. It's very interesting. His dialogue is definitely the first thing that will point out that he is different to the viewer. We also get a sense that Jaqen is a little bit different than his companions in the cage, I guess you could call it, in the cell, because obviously Roarg is just, you know, he's threatening Arya and stuff. Biter, I don't even think really says anything. I think he just hisses at her. But yeah, we kind of get the sense that out of the three, Jaqen is quite a bit different. but at the same time, it kind of makes you think, okay, this is just the smart one out of the three, because you don't really know what's going on with those three characters yet, just that they're dangerous. So in season 2, they continue traveling to the wall. Everything goes down with the Lannisters and the Gold Cloaks and stuff. But anyways, basically they are resting around the barn, and they are attacked by the Lannisters and Gold Cloaks. So with all the chaos and fighting and stuff going down, a fire ends up being set that's pretty much going to roast these 3 prisoners alive since they're still in a cage. Arya ends up saving them all by handing one of them a battle axe, and yeah, they all end up still being overran and taken by the Lannisters, who then sends them to Harrenhal. And you guys know a bunch of crazy torturing stuff was going down at Harrenhal. Basically, the Mountain was picking somebody who was then being tortured by the Tickler, trying to give up information about the local towns and stuff about Beric Dondarrion, and Gendry's name ends up being picked. Everybody's freaking out because Gendry got picked and stuff, but just in time, of course, Tywin Lannister ends up rolling in. And he's like, hey, why are we torturing all these prisoners and stuff? These guys can be put to use. He ends up saying, hey, Gendry, what do you do or whatever? Finds out that he's a blacksmith, and he's like, yeah, why are you guys doing this? So with Gendry working for them as a smith now, Arya ends up being a cupbearer for Tywin Lannister. And I think as she is getting water for him one day, she ends up finding Jaqen again, and he is actually dressed as a Lannister soldier. So she thinks that he's one of them now, but he kind of throws it back at her like, okay, well, who are you getting water for right now? So then we just have some really cool dialogue and stuff. He's basically telling Arya he already knew she was a girl and stuff, and that since she saved their 3 lives, that she owes the Red God 3 names. So basically, all she has to do is just speak 3 names, and he will kill them. No matter what, it could take time. Like you guys heard in the quote at the beginning of the video. It could take time, but death is certain. So now basically Arya has these 3 names. Imagine what would have happened if she would have just said Tywin Lannister. Oh man, the story would be completely different. But anyway, she ends up naming 2 different ones. I think one's the Tickler, and the other one, I can't think of off the top of my head, but it ends up making Tywin suspicious. He ends up like having his own patrols and his own men questioned and stuff. Some of them are even killed. And yeah, Arya decides that, hey, I need to leave. She wants her and her friends to get out. Jaqen says basically he can't help her. So she ends up naming Jaqen H'ghar for the 3rd name. Now you can tell this shocks the hell out of Jaqen. It's pretty cool. I think this is when he realizes, hey, I kind of like this girl. Maybe I want to recruit her down the line. But basically they sort it out. He ends up being unnamed and helps them escape. So after they're kind of through the Harrenhal gate and stuff, they end up seeing Jaqen H'ghar kind of up on a cliff. And yeah, Arya basically turns around and he is right there. And that is where she first sees that he is a faceless man. Absolutely awesome. And he pretty much invites her to come to Braavos to, yeah, become one. And just so you know, Syrio is from Braavos as well. So that pretty much wraps up season 1. Then we have season 4 where Arya begins her journey to Braavos. She has decided that she is going to become a faceless man. So jumping into season 5. So some stuff ends up going down, but basically she has finally admitted passage through the House of Black and White, and basically this is where you see that Jaqen H'ghar is really no one. He's no one. He could be anyone, but he's no one. But more importantly, he tells Arya that she has to become no one as well. So basically some training is going down and stuff. The waif is introduced, and they tell Arya that she has to pretty much dispose of everything to do with her past life. She has to become no one. So she gets rid of all of her stuff except for Needle. She hides it in the rocks. And this is kind of where you start to see that Arya doesn't really, she's not fully committed to becoming no one. She doesn't want to leave that part of her history behind. And man, it gets her in some trouble. So then we just have some more training and stuff, and eventually Arya is permitted to go to the Hall of Faces, basically kind of like she's past training, but now she's going to go out into the field. Kind of like that almost, but yeah, he says you're not ready to become no one, but you are ready to become someone else. So Arya ends up going out into the field. She doesn't complete her mission. She comes back. She lies to Jaqen, goes out to try it again, ends up killing the wrong person, and comes back and is pretty much eventually blinded. Jaqen acts like he kills himself, which you can't even really tell what's going on because you don't know who anyone is because everyone is no one. But anyways, yeah, Arya is blinded, and that's pretty much that for season 5. So now we basically have a blind Arya on the street as a beggar, and yeah, basically the waif is coming every single day to beat her up. She finally decides to strike back, and Jaqen is there. He ends up basically kind of just testing her some more, saying that if you just say your name, I will basically end all this torment for you. She says a girl has no name, so she continues to pass the tests, and yeah, he ends up sending her on the 2nd mission after restoring her sight, trying to tell her that as no one, you have no fear. She ends up drinking from the same water that it looked like poison him to start with. Yeah, trying to keep this straight. And it gives her sight back. So, yeah, now she's sent off onto her second mission. Arya fails again. So this time, Jaqen basically says, hey, Waif, go kill Arya right now. So then we have that badass fight between the Waif and Arya. The Waif is obviously chasing Arya through town and stuff. But Jaqen H'ghar comes back in when he notices blood on the ground, goes into the Hall of Faces, and sees the new face on the wall. It is the Waif's. So Arya basically is telling him, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. She's already got Needle back. And yeah, Jaqen ends up deeming her as no one and allows her to leave. And that's pretty much the last we've seen of Jaqen H'ghar. So yeah, we didn't have him all through season 7. So could he come back for season 8? We're going to talk about it amongst other things. I do think it is very interesting though. I've talked about before, what if Arya is actually the Waif? I don't think it makes any sense now just because we've seen Nymeria, the interaction between her and Nymeria and stuff, and also her going back to kill the Freys, but that was a very interesting theory. I do want to say that I think it has been debunked. So I do apologize, but I think we're going to have to end part 1 here. I know that this mainly was just the backstory and the history and stuff, just talking about what's gone on, what you guys have seen so far, but I do think he is Syrio Forel. We will talk about that in part 2. What do you guys want to see for part 2? What all do you guys want to talk about? I definitely have some things that we're going to discuss, whether or not we'll see him again. But yeah, I do kind of hate to end it like this because we didn't really get much accomplished, but I feel like we all kind of need this level playing field of Jaqen H'ghar, and some people may have just forgotten stuff. I don't know, but nonetheless, this has been Lycan Studios. Make sure to smash that thumbs up button if you did enjoy the video, and stay tuned for part 2. You should see it tomorrow. But anyways, oh yeah, I was also going to say, I'm so sorry for saying and stuff. If I had $1 for every time I said and stuff, yeah, I'd be rich. So anyway, sorry about that. I'll work on it for the next video, I promise. But yeah, this has been Lycan Studios. Peace.